Hello, Becca. Welcome. My name's Steph. I have created the rising groups, and if you don't know what a rising group is, we have other videos in this series that talks about that. But today, I want to introduce you to Becca. And this conversation is meant to help you get to know Becca. We're going to ask her questions about how she leads groups, what's important to her, and what she's experienced that she either carries with her or decides to shift when it comes to leading and guiding a group. So, hi, Becca.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure. It's good to have you. Um, Becca has a couple of rising groups. Um, we talk about this in another video, but every rising group has a different name, so we can keep track of who's leading and what day and time it's on. It's also a word that means something to the group leader. So Becca has chosen her group names. Do you want to share what those are?
Yeah, the first one is Rising Free. I chose that one because I feel like freedom is a huge theme for us in recovery. Just freedom from our fear, freedom from the things that have pulled us down and um, left us feeling less than, and like being able to come out of that into freedom has been a huge theme in my recovery journey. And then the other one is Rising Resilient. And I chose that because um, I just see that in women that are in groups that are on this path, they become so resilient. And it's just an encouragement that that's where we're headed. So,
Love it. Thank you, Becca. So, first real question about you. Um, who is Becca? Where do you come from and what brought you to this work?
yeah. Well, I live in Missouri. And let's see, always lived in this area. I have three kids, um, 8 and under. And let's see, I've been on a healing journey for quite a while. Let's see, my D Day was 6 years ago, and that really set me on a path of having to uncover a lot of pain that was even beyond my marriage and the fallout there. But I kind of ended up having to unravel like my faith and my childhood and different ways that I was raised that had really impacted who I was as a person. And so, um, yeah, for 2 years, I really struggled alone, not understanding like even what sex addiction was, what I was going through. My husband was a pastor at that point, and so we both had so much pressure to like just pretend like we didn't want to pretend, but it was like we've got to figure this out, and we don't know how to find answers. And even our church people didn't know how to help us, and they told us basically like, "We'll just keep trying." And so we were struggling alone for 2 years until I met um, Pam and Bonnie Burns and started really understanding for the first time what I was going through. And they were able to connect me with resources, and I got into a group right away. And um, that's where suddenly there was clarity like, okay, I have trauma and I need support and I need accountability and I need to learn new tools to regulate my nervous system and to know how to take my life back. So um, it's been wonderful. Like, as much as betrayal was one of the hardest things I've ever been through, it also set off a healing journey that I never would have gotten on. And I'm really thankful for that every day. Like, I parent different. I show up in my online business different. I show up in my marriage different. And being getting into this work was because after working or well being with Pam and with you, Steph, in groups for several years, I just realized how needed this was. Like, there's so many women that this has happening with people in my life, people that I was meeting through my health coaching business that were telling me about their marriages. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to be in a group like with Steph and Pam. And so just realizing how many people need this support and there's not enough. And so it just felt like the most natural thing to get to bring that support like I've been supported. So
Mm, yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing all of that. Um, I'm curious if you can remember, what was it like joining your first group?
yeah, I was really nervous. I was like like many women, sadly, sometimes it can be really triggering to like be so vulnerable and wonder like, will they understand me? Will they think I'm crazy? Will they think? And then it was so funny because like I felt all of that, but I signed up for it because I needed the support. I knew that I couldn't just keep pushing through. My mental health was awful at this point, so depressed, um, and anxious and isolating. And so, but my first group experience was so opposite of what I expected. Like there was so much warmth and so much, like, I think I got off the call and cried because I'd never felt so validated. Having these other women just looking at me and saying, of course you feel that way. Yeah, I would feel that way too. And not feeling at all gaslit when I had been by my church, I had been by my family, by my husband's family, um, and told like I just needed to get over it. And being in this group of women was so empowering.
Wow. Was there something specific that helped you feel safe enough to keep going back?
Mm-hmm. I think just the fact that I was believed, um, and that there was so much choice involved. Like there was never this pressure to have to share anything, to have to even say anything. Like just being there was okay. And you and Steph said that, or you and Pam would say that, like this group is for me, and just that safety that was there and that choice, and lack of pressure. I could just show up as I was. If I was crying, I know I cried a lot those first, probably first year in the group, but it was so safe to do that.
Mm. Yeah, you missed my first year. I was crying too. Every time, every week. Uh, so how did being in a group change your relationship with yourself? What did you learn about your voice, your needs, your capacity?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, the education, first of all, there was a lot of education I never heard of about my nervous system and how it worked, and like, you know, what it means to be out of window of tolerance and what that feels like in your body, and all these things made so much sense and made me understand my body better and not feel so disconnected from my experience and so confused about what was happening when I would be triggered, when I would be overwhelmed. And so that, and then also just the fact that, again, like I said earlier, it was so powerful to me specifically with my specific wounds, like to have other women just saying, yeah, you are trusted and you can trust yourself. Like if you're having a feeling or you feel unsafe or you feel upset about something in your relationship, that's okay. And you get to act on that. Um, that was really good for me. I was learning to trust myself through having other women validate my experience, and then I was learning to validate my own experience and know
Mm,
how to, um, yeah, make the choices in my life that I needed to actually take my power back.
mm, I love that. When you say validate my own experience, can you go a little bit more into detail about that? Because that's
Yeah.
very intriguing and it might go over some heads for women who have never heard anything like this. So I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, for me, I had become so disconnected from my body, because of the trauma, that I was kind of like always up here trying to figure out what's going on with my husband, what's going on, am I safe? But I wasn't like able to, I wouldn't know all the time what I was feeling. And so I couldn't have said to someone like, I feel angry right now, or I feel I feel grief. It was more like, I don't know, I'm just so overwhelmed. And so being able to go in and use the tools that you and Pam taught me to really sit with it and go, no, this is real and it matters. Like, I don't have to bypass this. I don't have to pretend it's not there to keep things calm for my husband or for my family. If I feel this way, then it matters, and I'm going to take action to support myself.
Mm, I love that. I love that. I often say in meetings that I'm leading or women that I'm talking to, I, when I was asked how I was feeling in the groups, my response was always exhausted and overwhelmed. Like those were
Yeah.
the only two feelings I could really identify for a long time, for months, before
Mm-hmm.
I could really connect with me. Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
No, I hear that a lot too. And it is so like, it's crazy though, when you don't know that there's something different, how empowering it is when you start to be able to identify those things and be like, oh, no, I'm angry, which means I need a boundary. Or no, I'm sad, which means I need some self care. Like, it makes it so much easier to move through your emotions.
Hmm. Absolutely. I agree. So we're gonna kind of shift to when you're leading a group, what do you hope women feel and experience when they're in one of your groups?
Mm-hmm. Safe, just really safe, that they've come into a space where anything that they say, anything that they feel is completely okay and welcome. And they are um, just so supported, and they're not alone, and also empowered, that I believe that they are free agents and that they get to choose, make choices, even if it's just one small thing that they can identify that they need. We want to keep empowering them to know that they don't have to be stuck. They get to, one day at a time, find ways to create freedom for this, for themselves, and peace. And that's what the group is for, is to make sure that they get to walk that path.
Mm, love that. It's so great. So if someone's feeling anxious or nervous or unsure about joining a group, what would you want to tell her? And what do you wish you would have known? Like, if you could talk to your old self and encourage yourself to join a group, what would you say?
Hmm. Oh, I'll answer the second one first.
Okay.
I would have done it so much sooner, because I would have felt so much less alone. Um, I wish I'd had this group even before D-Day, like just women that are just completely there for you and support you. And yeah, I that there are women out there that want to empower you and support you and see you win. And this is like the best place to go if that's what you're looking for. Um, and if you're nervous about it, come, because we'll prove it wrong. Like, there's nothing to be nervous about. Like, um we like there's nothing more encouraging than having a group of women nodding on the screen at you when you're trying to share something and they totally get it, or seeing them tear up when you're sharing your grief. Um, because they know exactly what you've been through. Like, there's nothing to explain. You don't have to prove anything. Everyone already knows, because even if they have a different flavor to their story or the details are different, we all know the grief and the pain. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is an incredible gift to experience a group like this, and not to pat ourselves on the back, but we've worked really hard at creating a safe, connecting space for women. And women talk about it. They talk about how these groups are so different from anything else they've experienced. So,
Mm.
um, let's see. What do I want to ask for the end? We'll just kind of wrap this up. Um, what do you think? These questions that I have here are really similar to things that we've already discussed. So I'm curious if there's anything else you want to add, anything you want women to know about you or how you show up in a group or um, why you do what you do. I don't know. Do any of those sound like
Yeah,
something you want to share?
yeah, for sure. Um, I think one thing, and you and I were just talking about this before the call to stuff, is that you don't have to feel pressure to have the answers of like what's going to happen with your relationship, what the future holds. Like that's what this group is for that in between stage when you're struggling and you don't have the answers yet and it feels unclear and foggy and some things are dark still and you don't know. This is a safe place to be exploring that and just to have the support and to be able to like think through what's going on in your relationship, what's going on for you and in your body and what you need, and just explore things. So I do a lot of somatic, I weave a lot of somatic work, which is like felt sense. So leaning into your body sensations, because I find many of the women, like I was sharing earlier, struggle to feel their feelings. And it's been a huge thing for me to learn how to really tune into that felt sense. And several women have said how much that helps them. So that's something that I add into my sessions, I think, that are unique. We really do a lot of listening to our felt sense to help us identify our needs and emotions and um, listen to that inner voice, whether it's our inner child or inner teenager that has needs, even. So, like, just listening and learning how to befriend, like, have a relationship with ourself. And that's a really important piece that I feel like brings healing on a lot of levels, even beyond the relationship. So,
I love that. That is really one of Becca's strengths is the somatic work. So if you've heard of somatic and you're curious and it sounds like something that would be helpful for you. This is for women who, um, when you're asked if you're, where do you feel that in your body? Or what are some other questions that women just are like, I have no idea. Feelings for sure. But what else is there that women can be like, oh, maybe I need some of this somatic work in my journey?
mm-hmm. Well, one really good example of what it feels like to be disembodied, which is the opposite of being in your body, would be like when you're triggered. It's like this feeling of like a spiral, right? And it's up here. Like your brain is just like thinking about all of the different things that could go wrong or all the things that did go wrong and details, and you're just spiraling and your brain is going like on 4 times speed.
Oh,
Um,
I experienced that last week. And I
oh,
was like, I have to make a decision right now. I have to figure this out right now so that this can stop.
mm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like when we feel disembodied and our brain is taking over trying to make sense of what we're feeling. And when we can like slow it down and just like simple things like just putting your hands on your belly and on your chest and taking deep breaths and like just trying to bring your attention into like, oh, there's some tension in my hips, or oh, it's in my chest, and it feels heavy. Those kinds of things can help that energy like kind of get unstuck in your brain and help your body discharge it. So yeah, it's for me it was very helpful because I was someone that lived in my brain very much, like always trying to intellectualize everything instead of being able to feel it, because I was afraid of how big those feelings were. And I was afraid of like, how big is this going to get? Am I going to just like fall into depression if I start to open this stuff up, you know? And
Mm,
so, but when we can learn to just slowly start to build that connection, it makes it easier to feel our emotions and they don't feel so overwhelming.
yeah. And I love that in your groups, Becca, you offer that space to let women explore that in a really gentle way where they can you know, you don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to have it, figure it out all always. And I remember the only work that I did for myself was a weekly support group. And that was all
Mhm.
I could really handle for about a year. And it took me
Mhm.
um, a lot of time and patience and trust to get to that space of being like, okay, if I cry, I won't cry for 2 weeks, which I thought I would. But yeah, there's in my groups, and I'm sure in Becca's groups, if there's some dysregulation, we work to help you re-regulate. We want you to leave the meeting better than how you came, or at least, in a regulated state, whether it's better um, or similar. But anyways, thank you so much, Becca. We could probably chat forever because it's just so exciting to share what's helped us. And that's why we do what we do. We already have so much love and compassion for you because we know what you've been through. We have our own betrayal stories. We have childhood trauma. We know how hard this is and how complex it is, and how it's not just ever a cut and dry decision of do I stay or do I go? There's so much you've invested, there's um, so many options you've weighed, or maybe you haven't realized you have multiple options, and we're here to help you explore that. So,
Yeah.
anyways, anything else you want to say in closing, Becca, before I close this out?
I don't think so. I'm really grateful, yeah, that we had this time to talk, and I hope that it is helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. And if ladies, if you're listening to this and you feel curious, maybe a little nervous, nerves make sense. We've all been there. I want to encourage you that no one really truly feels ready to start something new
Yeah.
or try something again. If what you've tried didn't work before, maybe you've been in a group that was really challenging, or it was helpful for a little while and then you kind of grew out of it. There's a lot of women who experience stuff like that. So I just want to acknowledge the stress and pain and frustration of being in this situation and needing the help that you need. It's not fair. You didn't ask for it. And I want to encourage you that choosing support, choosing a group, especially in this betrayal experience, is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. And there's lots of information in the description. There's a couple of links. There's links to my website. There's a link to set up a 10-minute video call with me where we can figure out which of Becca's groups works for you best. She has one. Remind us what time and day they're on.
Yeah. Rising Free is on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Central
Central
Time.
time.
And then Rising Resilient is on Mondays at 11 a.m. Central Time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's so
Mm-hmm.
good to chat with you. And yeah, just if you're listening to this, if somehow this video found you, we want you to know you're not alone. And if you're looking for any sort of group, I hope you find the one that works best for you. Thank you, Becca. We'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
later.